Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Let us start by giving you all a quick brief on what Octanet is. So, Tech Octanet is a budding startup headquartered in Bhubaneswar, specializing in IT solutions across diverse sectors including e-commerce, real estate, automation, and personalized business application. Our primary focus is to provide affordable services to startups, aiding them into their digital initiatives. In addition to our core services, we are expanding into the corporate training sector, aiming to equip future corporate employees with a solid foundation. We also address student needs by identifying academic project requirements, internship opportunities, and offering comprehensive solutions. We are proud to be incorporated as an organization with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, registered with MSME, and approved by AICTE for internship programs. Also, our commitment to quality is underscored by ISO 9001 2015 certification, ensuring that every project we undertake reaches highest standards of excellence. Okay, thank you so much. That was all. Let us now stage our instructor and start today's session.
Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing good. Am I audible? Yeah, okay. Thank you for informing. So, today we are going to start with the web development session, and I have planned on dividing this session in like there will be some days. On first day, like today, what we'll do is we'll learn basics of everything, like starting with the HTML and then moving on to the CSS part, and then we'll study the JavaScript. And if you guys have not uh, what I can say, if you guys have not studied about these things, or if you guys have not heard about them, there is no issue. Like, we are going to start everything from the basics, and then we'll move on to the more advanced topics. So, what exactly web development? Can you guys like give a little bit of hint about it, or tell a little bit? Meanwhile, I will just prepare my notes for today, like share my screen and show you the codes and everything, and then officially the session. Okay, so you can also tell me that you guys have like studied about it and everything, like how much you know web development. Okay, so let me just prepare the notes. Is my audio not clear? Okay, give me a minute. Is it fine now? Still my voice is breaking. Okay. Okay, I have not shared the screen yet. So let me just do that. Okay, cool. Okay, give me a minute. Okay. Okay, so even if like you guys have some of the information about like uh, web development, still what we are going to do is we are going to start with the basics. Okay, and like we'll cover it very fast. There is no issue in that, but what we can do is we can start from the basics only. Okay, so that if anyone who does not have info about web development can also grasp the concepts very easily. Okay, so let's start with basics only. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I have rejoined. Is my voice still breaking, or is it fine now? Can you guys tell once? Give me a minute. Yeah, starting with HTML. What exactly is HTML? So HTML stands for hypertext markup language. So just like you guys might have studied about uh, notepad, like we write text in it, and we do a lot of things like in Google Docs also we write some text. So all those texts are the languages for like notepad and everything. But when it comes to website, like you can see here also, is a lot of text that is written here, right? We have tutorials, exercises, introduction. These are all text that are written on a web browser. So HTML is also called as the language of the web, right? So why it's called markup language? Because it's like a markup language. What is markup language? Like a language that you write on particular like software. For example, on notepad you write some language, right? And on browser we are writing HTML language. So markup language is used for specifically for creating web pages, okay? So here also it's written like, it's a very good documentation. You can go through this documentation, and it also contains inbuilt exercises which you can do, and they have like a lot of things to study from here, right? So I also always, whenever possible, refer to this documentation whenever going through new things, okay? So HTML stands for hypertext markup language, and it's basically used for creating web pages. HTML is the only thing that like describes the structure of how our web page will basically look like. Okay. Now they contain series of elements. I'll explain you a little bit by how what all things they like contain. So you can also try like running your code here also in this terminal. That's what makes it a very good like practicing tool, this documentation. So if you look at the left hand side, you can see some section of code that is written here right now, right? The first line is doc type HTML, right? So what this means is, whenever you write on the starting of the document anything uh, with this syntax, basically opening tag, then not, and the doc type HTML, it tells your browser, okay, give me a minute, yeah, it tells your browser that this particular document and everything, the thing that we are going to write below this will be of uh, HTML syntax, okay? After this, your browser tries to understand that, okay, whatever thing I'm going to read right now is an HTML document, okay? Now starting with it, how what we do, first of all we write HTML. This is the opening tag and the closing tag, right? So in HTML there are a lot of elements that we have. The all of the things that we are writing inside it is known as the tags in HTML, right? So generally all the tags have opening and the closing tags, right? So this is my opening HTML tag and my closing HTML tag. So we have to write like, you can write without this also things, but it's very necessary. It's, I cannot say very necessary, but it is a good practice to always start with writing HTML opening and closing tag, and inside it you should add the like contents, like rest of the elements, okay? Then inside the HTML opening and closing tag, I have written a new tag which is the head tag, right? So inside the head tag I have a title tag. So mm, if you see very clearly, your browser is divided into two sections, right? So one is the white section that you see on your screen, wherever you are writing the, you are seeing the text, right? And the another one is the black section that you are seeing right now, which is which contains tabs, right? Which contains this particular heading, W3 schools try it editor. See you, so this is the head section. So whatever things you are like you want to change here, you write it inside the head section of the page. So this is the head opening tag, and this is the head closing tag. So in between that you contain the title. So this is the page title right now. So if I write anything here, anything else here, uh hello for example, and I try to run it, then you can see you are not seeing any difference on this particular section. Why? Because title targets your this particular portion, the W3 schools try it editor, that will change whenever you will try to paste this particular file in the browser. I'll explain to you how we are going to change the title. I will create a new file in VS Code, and then you will be able to see that particular thing, okay? So yeah, give me a minute. Okay. So now, we have studied about what is the title exactly, and we can also see from other codes. Then I have written H1, and inside that you might see my first heading. It is written, and you can see on the right side also how it is being displayed on the web page. Right. So this is your first heading, and it is bold, and it is larger than the second line, my first paragraph. So H1 is used to target headings or create the headings on the document, and P tag is used to create the paragraphs on the document. Okay, so this is how we start with the boilerplate code or the starting HTML code of the document. Okay, now they have also explained this, like the doc type HTML, it defines that this document is an HTML document, right? And the HTML element is the root of the HTML page. The head section is the, it contains all the meta information. What is the meta information? All the links, all the references that we are going to use further in our code will be displayed inside the head section. Then it contains the title and the body section, which contains the H1 and the P tag. So I'll move very fast. Wherever you guys have any issues, you can ask, because it's very basic, and if I am going to take a lot of time in this, then like we'll not be able to complete everything. Okay, so if you guys have any issues, you can ask immediately in the chat box, and I'll answer that. Okay, so now they have described about what is an HTML element, right? So we were using elements, the syntax was elements, we were using them. So this is the tag name, and then we add the content here, and we add the closing tag name. So that's how we were using everything. For example, for H1 we were using this tag name and then closing tag name, and inside this our content was flowing. Similar was a thing for paragraph, right? So this is called the start tag, and this is known as the end tag, right? Now we'll study about the BR tag and HR tag later on in our code. So now, web browsers, right? What exactly is web browser? So the purpose of a web browser, we are using, like I am using Chrome right now. There is also Edge, right? And Firefox. We also have Safari. So these are different types of like browsers that we are using right now, right? So what is the purpose of these browsers? Like why should we use these web browsers? So these web browsers are the only thing that read the HTML documents and they display them correctly. Otherwise, if you are using anything else, like wherever else you open that code, like for example, try opening .html file in your phones only, you won't be able to open that file or read the contents correctly. Okay, so that's why, just like a notepad, web browser is you, by using web browser you can see the HTML documents but which are displayed correctly, right? So browser does what? Browser does not display HTML tag, it only displays the contents that are present inside the HTML tag. For example, here you can see we are not seeing the tags here, we are only seeing the contents that are displayed inside the tags. Okay, so we by this we determine the how to display the particular document. Okay, now the next we are going to study about the HTML element. Okay, give me a minute. So everything that you are going to write inside the HTML will be inside the tags only. Okay, they will always be inside the tags. You won't write anything without the tags here. So this is the opening tag, like this signifies okay, we are starting with the H1, then we write the content, and then we end the content by adding a closing tag name. For example, here I have a heading tag which is named as H1. This is present in HTML. Okay, and then inside that we have my first heading. This particular content will only be displayed on the browser, not these tags. But this tag signifies that okay, this is my heading, right? So it should be bigger in size, and this should be bold. So that's the concept of element in HTML. Okay, now wherever you are writing the text, right? So you guys might be knowing that we use pages for writing the text, right? So what is the page structure for HTML? So the page structure of HTML looks something like this, right? So uh, you start with the HTML opening tag, and inside the HTML opening tag you have the head section, right, and the body section. So there are two sections inside HTML. In the head section you add title and everything, which I told you, like you can change this particular title that is coming on the tab. And inside the body you can add the headings and everything, like here it's written this is a heading, paragraph, this is another paragraph. So you can like understand. If you guys want, you can take a screenshot of this, right, and you can go through it. HTML5 is the updated version of HTML. Okay, it contains more tags and everything. And in this documentation also they have like shown some of the things that are new in it, and you can also use that. There is not much difference between both of them. Okay, if you like, if you know about HTML, there is no issue that you will face with HTML5. Okay, so this is some of the history, like how HTML was created. And like you might have studied about World Wide Web, right? So early days of World Wide Web. So from there HTML history is going on. Like in 1989, Tim Berners-Lee invented word www. and uh, and from that, like it has grown a lot. See, like I have told this right now, that we have the this is HTML5 is the updated version of HTML. So after 2012 we came with the HTML5 and everything. So this tutorial, like whatever thing we are studying right now, they follow the latest HTML5 standard, like the latest code standard. Now we have an exercise. So can you guys tell what does HTML stand for? Can you answer this in the chat box? Okay, if you guys don't know about it, then let me tell you the answer. I told you in the starting of the lecture that HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Okay, so it's correct. You can also go through these video introductions and everything, they are also very good. So you can go through them if you want. Now now how we can edit the contents, right? Hypertext markup language. So the next we are going to study about the HTML editors, like where we can edit these texts that we are like doing in HTML. So web pages can be created and modified by using HTML editors. For example, you can use Atom, you can use VS Code, you can use Cursor, and you can use a lot of like a lot of code editors that we have right now. So there are some professional HTML editors that we can use. But like HTML can also be very easily understood by using like Notepad and TextEdit. You can also write all of these things in Notepad, and you can go through like your code when you are studying about HTML. You don't need some high class, like very professional HTML editors for learning that. Okay, and it's a good way of starting to learn HTML. So what you can do, you can like start with the Notepad. Okay, you can open the text editor in if you have Mac, and then you just one important thing is that you have to save your file with .html notation only then your browser will be able to understand that okay, the file that I am reading right now is an HTML file. Okay, so wherever you have it, you can save that file and you can continue. Then we studied about this. We can write this similar code inside the Notepad, like this is a Notepad. You can write this code there if you want, and you can see that after saving this with .html notation, right? When you save it with .html notation, you can copy the path of this file. Like, this is the path of the file where you have stored it. You can copy the path, and when you paste this path in your browser, you will be able to see that. Okay, let me just show it to you guys also. Let Give me a minute. Like, I have this cursor editor, right? Let me show you with text editor only. Give me a minute. uh, okay. mm, okay, what I'll do is I'll create a new document. Okay, so this is my new document. Now what I will do, let me just open it in cursor only. That would be like more easier for you guys to read it. Okay, so this is my new text file, right? I have created a new text file. I'll just save this at once. Okay, for better understanding, I'll just save it. Give me a minute. Okay, inside the documents, I will create a new folder. I will name it HTML. You can also do this along with me if you want. Okay, so here I have created a new folder. I will create a new file and I will name it index.html. Okay, so you can see that as soon as I wrote the index.html file here, see here index.html, what happened? I was able to see that they have displayed some tags, and our like computer is able to understand that okay, this is my HTML file. Okay, so that's how you are going to like create file and add code in that. Okay, so if I write here doc type, okay, I will write here doc type HTML. Okay, and then you can see if I write here HTML head my website, and then I can also add like body here, right, inside the head, and it is displaying h1 welcome to my website, right? They are displaying this. So what I do, I can just copy the path. Okay, I can copy path of this file, go back to my, yeah, copy the path, go to my browser and paste the path, right? So it's inside users, documents and index.html, and if I open this, then you can see I am able to see the heading that I had written on the browser, on my like editor, code editor. So similar to this, you can also use notepad and you can write this. So that's what I was saying right now. Okay, now let's go back and let's continue further. So we can also try it in W3 online editor. You can also try this and like practice if you want. Okay, now comes the next part. So as I told you earlier, it should start with this declaration only. Okay, and it starts with HTML, ends with HTML. These all things I have told you earlier. Okay. Then we have, okay, now we have headings. Okay, so what are the different types of headings that we have in HTML, right? So there are 6 types of headings that are there in HTML. So if you see very clearly, h1 is this biggest heading, then we have h2, we have h3, h4, h5 and h6. So all of them have the different sizes. So you can also try like writing different headings if you want. So I'll give you 20 seconds around to take the screenshot of this if you want, and or try it on your own. Everything that we have studied right now, and you are open for doubts and discussions. Okay, then we'll like start in a minute. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So this is what I was saying about the headings. Similar to headings, what we have paragraphs, right? So we have only one p tag, and we can use it multiple times, right? So this is the p tag. Here there are two tags. I can also write a new tag here. Hello, this is a new paragraph, right? This is a new paragraph, and I can write closing tag here. So you can see it's now displaying me the new paragraph. There is no size of the paragraph, but we can change it with the styles. Okay, now the next we have a link. Okay, so let's suppose I open this. Okay, close all these things. So you can see in the doc type HTML format, you have heading with the tag HTML link, right? So they are defined with a tag. So we when we write a and we write the href represents href is known as the attribute. Okay, whatever thing we are writing inside the tag will be known as attribute, and we give the url of some website, for example w3schools.com, and a link will be created here. Okay, and if I click on this, I'll be redirected to w3schools.com, right? So that's how we can use this. Let me just refresh this. You can see if I write here, let's suppose, okay, so I have this particular url. Let's try writing this. If we are able to change this, so this is a url, right? I have added this, clicked on run, and if I click on this, you can see, okay, this has refused to connect because this is not our own website, right? This is w3 schools website, so we can navigate on w3 schools urls only. But I think you guys have understood what this means. So let me try this writing in my code only. That would help. Okay, so here it's a heading, right? And if I write here a, here what I'll write href. Okay, and I have added the link. Let me go back and click on refresh. You can see the link that I have created right now here. I have named it Google, so I have added this. If I click on this, then you can see I am able to redirect to the link here, right? So I hope this part is clear to all of you, what it means. A, okay, this is a link, and a is also known, this is also known as the, this tag particular is known as the anchor tag. Okay, link's description is specified in the href attribute, and the attributes are used to provide additional information about the html elements. Okay, now the next we have the image tag. Okay, these all tags are similar. You don't have to remember all the tags that are there in html because there are a lot of tags. But what you can do is you can just go through everything, every other tag, learn that syntax, how they are used, and then use them. Okay, so here we have a image tag, right? And if you see very clearly, it does not have a closing tag. So image tag is one of the tag which does not contain a closing tag. Okay, so this is the src. Like src represents the what will be the name of your image, like where your image is located. Okay, alt is the name of the image. Width and height you specify for how much your width and height of the image should be. Okay, and this does not contain a closing tag. So that's how you can add images also to your document. Okay, uh, then let me try adding some image. It would be easier for you guys to understand. If I go to Google and I search on random images url. Okay, so you guys can try this website, lorem pixum. it generates random images and on based on the URL. So here if you see, this is a URL. Let me copy this URL and I go back to the code here. Okay, and I add here image source. It's very different source. Okay, this does not have a closing tag. I have given a alt. It's the alt is by default. Let me just change it. Let me write it again. So if I write here image and closing tag, and inside this I write src is equal to lorem pixum. Okay, and I save this. So what I have done is I have only written image and there is no closing tag here. Okay, let me just go back, click on refresh. So you can see I'm able to see a image on the browser. So that's how you can add images also. And if I name this, for example, this is source, and I give here alt as random image. So suppose, why we give alt, let me tell it to you. Suppose the URL of your image is wrong. For example, it does not contain some of the things and it's wrong. So what you will see, you will not be able to see the image on the browser. So see, but now you are able to see the alt. So say like this signifies that there was some image here, but due to, let's say, network issues or due to wrong URL information, you are not able to see it. So that's when alt comes important, that there was something here which is not right now being displayed on the browser. Okay, so that's how we use the image tag. Okay, now to view HTML source, for example, I have this particular website. What I can do, I can right click on my browser and I go to inspect. If I go to inspect, then you can see whatever code we had written in the browser, right? Whatever code we had written, we are able to see that. See, HTML head body. If I open this doc type HTML part, then you can see my website and everything. We are able to see that here, right? So that's how we can see the code that we have written for a particular web page. We can also see this particular web page code. If we click on inspect, you can see this is the code, HTML code that is written for creating this particular web page, right? So you can also do that. Now, okay, so correct HTML markup for document type declaration is this particular type, doc type HTML, right? So now let's move to the next part. So this section contains in detail about the HTML document. Do you guys have any doubts? You can ask. Then we'll continue. Is it fast, or like, is there anything you guys are not able to understand? Okay. So let's continue further. So this we have already studied, like what are the different elements, H1P. We also have one more tag, which is the BR tag, right? So it does not have a closing tag also, and it is added to use a line break in our code. For example, let me show it to you once. If below this I add P tag and go to the browser and search for lorem is some random generator. Okay, so this particular website generates random paragraphs. Okay, I just copy this. Okay, and I paste this here, right? Go back to my web page, click on refresh. Then you can see I am able to see this particular paragraph. So if in between anywhere I add a BR tag, then the line will break from that particular portion. For example, here this line has broken. Okay, so this is how we can use the BR tag also. The next tag, nested HTML elements, like we have already done that. We are using nested HTML elements, like opening HTML tag, and then we have some HTML elements, and then the closing HTML tag. Then, okay, this is simpler. Okay, and one more important thing, HTML is not case sensitive. Like capital P means the same thing as small p. Okay, then attributes, like we studied about the href. This is an attribute which is used to signify where that particular link will go. Okay, image has this src. All of these are called attributes. Okay, now next what we have the width and height attribute. We have studied about that also. Then, yeah, you can also add a title attributes. There are a lot of attributes. I'll not like explain every attribute, but you can go through them. There are a lot of them, right? So we can also use the lowercase attributes. Like all of the things we are going to write will be in lowercase only. Then we have, yeah, this is a little bit important. Like if you are writing a paragraph, okay, and you have a single quote, so inside that you can add double quotes also, so that won't create much issues here. Okay, so it's simpler. Headings, yeah, we have studied about this. Paragraphs also we have studied. Now comes a very important part, which is the styles. Okay, so let's suppose you have written a heading and you want to change the color of that particular heading. So what you can do, you can use the style attribute and you can target the color and change the color to red, right? I can also use any other color. For example, I can use here yellow. The syntax will remain the same, right? So you can use here this. And in the second paragraph also they have used blue. And you can also change the font size. Like there are a lot of styling attributes, you can use any of them. What I can do is I can also use here style. Okay, and I can use here background color as black, let's say. Okay, and let me try running this. So you can see on body I applied the background color of black. I can also change it to pink, for example, or orange. So you can see that I am able to change the background color of the body also. So you can use different styles according to it, right? So the first thing that you are writing here is the property. This color is called the property, and this yellow will be known as the value. Okay, next we have the background color that I have already told you. Then we have the text color, which we simply write as color. Okay, then we have font family. So we can also change the font family of our text. For example, let's open this. See, the in the first heading, what we have done, we have written font family, okay, and it's Verdana font right now, right? So it's a little bit different font. And in the second one, we have used the font family Courier, and this is a different font. So we can change, target the attribute, and change the font family accordingly, right? We can also change the text size. So, for example, this is a percentage, like font size of 300%. So we can also do this. Let's just go here and check. So here I have given font size of 300% to this heading, so it's little bit greater. And 160%, this paragraph is a little bit smaller. I can also increase this. Let's make it 600. So you can see it's also a little bit bigger, right? So you can also change the font size of the code. Okay, now the next part is the alignment. So if I open this, yeah, so if I open this, I have given text align to center. So all of the headings that were by default coming to the left part, like if what all like code we were seeing previously, they have come to the center. I can also change it to be on the right. If I click on right, then they will be in the right aligned portion, right? So we can also do this. So what is the summary? That we can use the style attribute to change a lot of styling of the HTML. Like first is the background color, font family, font size, and text align. All of these things and many more we can do by using the style attribute that is present in HTML. Okay. Now the next. Now HTML text formatting. So it contains a different elements for defining text with a special meaning. For example, if I open this, so you can see that if inside the paragraph tag you write the b tag, right? Not br tag but the b tag, this will make your text bold. Okay, because by default paragraph texts are not bold, so this will make your text bold. And if you write I, okay, then this will make your text italicized. Okay, this will make your text slanted or italicized. You can also write subscript and superscript. So if you write this is and the sub tag subscript and the superscript tag, so you will be able to create subscript and superscript also. For example, if I want to write here H2O, I can write it here. I can add here H. Okay, then I will write here sub and I can write here 2 and O. Okay, now if I run this, you can see I'm able to add write H2O like this. Okay, so this is the use of subscript and superscript tags. So formatting elements are not only limited to these three tags, so there are a lot many, like bold text, strong. Okay, strong will also make something bold, italic, emphasized. Okay, mark, you can go through all of them. Try like playing around what all of these tags do. And the syntax of every other formatting tag is similar, so I'm not going to show you all of them, but you can go through them on your own. Okay, now next, the b tag. Let me also show you the strong tag. So if I write here strong, so you can see it's bold now and it's saying this text is important, right? This is how emphasized tags look like. Okay, this is not italic but a little bit emphasized. Okay, then we have a small, so this will make your text smaller. Okay, we have delete, right? So let me show it to you. If you use this delete option, you can make it like this strike through portion, right? So you can do this also. inscribed here, so red will become as underlined. Okay, so you can do, there are a lot of formatting, like formatting tags. See these many formatting tags, play around with them, and like you cannot remember all of the HTML tags, but like you should know what tag does like a particular task. Okay, so this is about the formatting elements. If you guys have any doubts, you can ask, and then we'll continue further. You, if you want, you can take a screenshot of this also. If you want to see a complete list of tags, you can go to HTML references, and they contain all the HTML tags that are present. Like it's like a dictionary, right? So you can go through this. It's a very good like documentation for going through what all things are present here, right? So yeah, let's move further with the formatting part. We'll go to the quotations. Okay, so if I go to this particular uh, web page, you can see I have a paragraph written. Here is a quote from WWF website, and we have a block quote site, this org. So what it will do, it will like, it has shifted the paragraph a little bit, right? And all of the text has like shifted a little bit. So you can also use this block quote type of thing, and they are a little bit different from what you are seeing in the paragraph. Okay, then you can use q. Okay, and for short quotations, there are like a lot of tags. You can go through them one by one, and they are not very important, like we don't use them generally, so I'm skipping this part. Now, the comments. So, when you are working with a team of developers, you want that your code should be easily readable and and reusable. Like it should not be very difficult to go through your code, right? So, what we do, we use the HTML like comments in it. So, for writing comments and describing what is happening. Okay, so for writing a comment, you do this. You add this particular symbol. Okay, and then your comment will start, and you can close it like this. So you can add comments, and you can hide content also by using the comments if you like don't want it to run. And we can also hide more than one line. See here, they have hidden more than one line. You can also do that. You can also hide the inline content, like this is, you have hidden the great text is a paragraph. So this is the significance of comments, and it's a good practice to add comments every anywhere like you are writing the code. Gives you like, any third person who is going to read your code will be able to understand like what exactly is happening in the code. Okay, now next we have the colors. So there are a lot of colors that are present in HTML. uh, you can use any of them. Okay, next we have the RGB colors. So you might have seen about that, like there are RGB colors. So if I write here RGB 25500, it means red color. This is blue color. So you can use RGB values also for creating different colors. Like I can increase or decrease the RGB values, and my color is also changing here, right? So I can use this particular color to target this color. Then there are different shades of gray. We also have RGBA color values. The fourth parameter represents the alpha, which signifies transparency of the color, like how much transparent your color will be. So if I say 00, then see here it's 00, so it's fully transparent, no color is there. If I write 0.2, then it will be a little bit a little bit transparent, right? And this will be 100% opaque if I write here 1. So alpha values range between 0 and 1. So if you want to write a color but don't want it to be very opaque, so you can use alpha channel also or alpha color also. So this is an example experiment of like using different values. If I make it more, this will be larger, and so on. Okay, you can practice this. Then you can also see this, what is the color of the following text. So since it's primarily green, so I guess uh, this should be the correct answer, right? Because G value is maximum 255. Then we have the hex values also. So you can use these particular color codes, okay, uh, for the like your code. So if you write here ff99, there are a lot of codes here, you don't have to remember again all of them, but this is how they are generated, right? You can also use this code for your, for adding any color of your choice, right? They are the different color codes. One more website is there which has really good colors, and you can copy the codes from there. If you go to colorhunt.com, they also have a lot of templates for your code, and you can copy any of them and use them in your code. Okay, so for the hex colors, we have the HSL colors values also for hue, saturation, and lightness. So you can also use them if you want. They're also another type of format. Okay, uh, this part we have studied. This part we'll cover in the CSS. We are not doing it right now. Let's move to the links part. Okay, hyperlink. So links are in nearly all the web pages, and they allow users to click their way from page to page, right? So we have studied about the anchor tag. It defined a hyperlink and it contains the following syntax. So there is another link also that is present. Let me just go through it. Okay, let me explain about the attributes. We have studied about the href attribute, right? By default, what is the style? An unvisited link is underlined in blue, and a visited link is underlined in purple, and active link is underlined in red. Okay, so this is the by default. You can also change that. Okay, change that particular target. So if you see here, if I write here a href w3schools.com, and if I target blank, then this particular link will open in a new browser or tab. Okay, this will not open in that browser, but it will open in a new browser or tab. So you can add the target blank attribute here if you want to open a new browser. Okay, you can also, you can use self to close the document in the same window. If you are using parent, then it will open the document in the parent frame, and if it is stop, then it will open the document in a full window. Okay, so these are the different like attributes that you can use. Then we have the absolute URL and the relative URLs. So what are the absolute URLs? Absolute URLs are the URLs that are present on the internet. Okay, you can just simply copy them and paste them. Relative URLs are the URLs that are present in your local computer. For example, if you have a file with HTML images, you can target that if it is present in the same file location wherever your file is located, and you can also move in different folders if you want. Okay, so that's how we see. This is the particular like page that is present for the relative URL, and we have this for absolute URLs. Okay, so you can also go through them. Then we have yeah, we can also use image as a link. Okay, so if I write a, let me just show it to you. If I write anchor tag, and inside the anchor tag I write an image, and I just run everything. Then by clicking on the image, I'll be redirected to a new page. So I can also use image as an anchor tag, not only the text. Okay. Then, okay, give me a minute. This is done. Now, let's suppose you want to add email address or you want to mail someone from there, right? Send email. So you what you can do inside the href, you can write mail to someone at the rate example.com, and then it will send the email to that particular person. So if I click on send email, then inbox, I'll be share the mail from here, right? So we can also use this. So this is how inside href, if I write mail to, then this will be for the sending emails. We can also use button as a link by using button and the on click attribute here, and this will open the button. So this is not generally used very often, but you can use it if you want. So if I open this, so it will go to document, it will check the document dot location, and it will go to default. So if I click on this, so this will be done. So this is not used very often, and I also won't suggest to use it. Okay. Now, next we have the title. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay. Hmm. So, next, what we can do is we can add titles. So it will say go to W3 School HTML section, and this will not be like shown to you, but we use titles very often uh, for like doing if something is not being displayed here correctly, then this title will signify what exactly we should do. This is again not very important, not very necessary to add, but for good coding practices we write it. Now, next part, yeah, the links part is duller, is it's done. Now we are going to study about the link colors. Okay, how we can change the color of the links that we are writing right now. So if you guys have any doubt, you can ask, and then in a minute or so we'll continue further. Not much part is left for the HTML. We'll complete the form part and the table part, and then we'll move to the CSS. Okay. So let's start in a minute. If you guys have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, let's continue further. Now we move to the link part. Okay, so how we can change the color of the link. So if I go here, okay, and here you can see I have written A and I have added href also, and you can see this is different, slightly different from what we were seeing previously. If I write here anchor tag, and here I write this is a test link, and if I close it here and I write here href is equal to something random, and I run this, then you can see that this particular link is a little bit different from before, right? So why it's happening? So if you see very clearly, I have written inside the head the style opening tag and the style closing tag, and inside that what I have written is a link, the color will be green, and if it's visited, like if you have visited this particular link, then it will come as pink color and the background will be transparent. And if I hover on this, then we will get an underline with the color of red. And if I have this as active, like if it's active right now, then it will come as yellow. Okay, so that's how you can target different arenas, like different how we can like modify the color of the link if we want. Okay, we'll like learn more about this in the css part, because we don't generally do the styling with the html only. Okay, this is not a very good practice, but for now you can go through this and like continue with it. Okay, so next, yeah, you can also change the link button color also in a similar way to the link part. Yeah, this part is done. Images is also done. Now comes a very important part, that is the tables in html. Okay, so let me show you to you by creating a table. So yeah, here only, let me just close this, save this, and let me just remove everything from here. We'll start from the scratch. Okay, so this is doc type html. I have added the html opening tag and the html closing tag. Inside this I'm going to add a head section, and inside this I will add a title, and inside the title I will write learning about html. Okay, I save this, I just add the okay. Then here we are going to study about the table. So similar to the structure of the html document, we have the structure of table. First of all, we write the table opening and the closing tag. Inside this we add a t head tag, right? So this will contain our heading. Okay, all the headings of the table, and inside the heading we can add tr, which signifies table row, and inside this we can add your headings. Okay, let me just go back, copy path, and paste this in the browser. So you can see here I'm getting three headings: name, age, and gender, right? So you can also create something like this. Okay, here also they have done the similar thing. They have added company, contract, and country, and what we have added here is name, age, and gender. So now if I want to add details here, what I can do, I can create below the t head, I will create t body. Okay, and here I will write tr signifies the row. You can add as many rows as you want. You can add another row. Okay, and if I go back, click on refresh, so you can see I have populated this particular table with the values which are coming below it. So that's how you create table in html. Let me zoom out of it. for you to see. So this is the table opening tag, head opening tag. Inside these all the headings and the table details. Okay. So these things are doing what? They are adding the table cells that we are doing. So you can add this. This is table row. We have already studied about that. Headers we have already done. This is th and we are adding that right now. So your headers will by automatically come as bold. You don't have to make them bold. Now suppose you want to add border to your HTML documents. What you can do, you can target the values. Let's say here, let's go back to our code. Inside the head, what I will do, I will add a style tag. Okay, target table th and td, and I will give it a border of, let me comment this out. I will not add border collapse for now. So what I've done here is on table, on th and td, I have added border of 1 pixel solid. If I go back to the page, click on refresh, so you can see I am able to create the borders on the table, right? I'm able to create the borders on the table. And what if I want these to be single lines only? So in that case, what I can do, I can use border, sorry, I can use border collapse to collapse. Okay, now let me refresh this, so you can see now I'm able to collapse the borders. So you can also use this. Okay, I can also style the table borders. I can give the background color to them. I can also round the table borders, right? So we can do all of these things. Then we have the lists in HTML. Suppose you want to create a list similar to this. So what you can do is you can simply go to your code. You can simply go to your code, and here you can add ul tag. Okay, inside the ul tag you can add li. So this signifies your unordered list. Like whatever you are going to write will not be numbered list, it will be unordered list. And if I go back and click on refresh, so you can see I have got an unordered list. Let's suppose I want ordered list, right? I want numbers inside my list. So I can create ol, right, and add the list items here. And if I go back, click on refresh, then you can see I'm able to see the numbered lists also. So this is how we write the unordered list, and this is how we write the ordered list. Then we have the description lists. Let's check what it is. Let me open this. Okay, so if we see what is the correct tag name for list items, so for list item the correct tag name is li. Okay, so if you see a description list, so you can use dl, and inside that you can add dt, that coffee, and then inside that you can add the description of the coffee, right? So you can also add this type of description list also if you want. Okay, now this is done. Description list is done. So there are basically three kind of list: ordered list, unordered list, and the description list. Div classes and everything we are going to cover in the CSS part. And I think okay, this part is done. Now the next important part is the forms in HTML. Okay, so you might have seen on a lot of like websites sign up and login forms, right? Like wherever you go on a new website, you are being redirected to add to like sign up or login. So what are these are known as HTML forms. So you have to write an HTML tag, you have to give an action, like after submitting this particular form what exactly will happen. So you can say after submitting the form we have to go to this particular like URL. Okay, so label, it will be for, let's suppose, this name, first name. You can add here last name. These are known as the inputs. Okay, you can, by using the input tag, you can add here some of the values. The labels are used for like defining what you have to write in the inputs, and then when you click on submit button, then this form will be submitted. Okay, and this is how your like form is submitted. So this is why we use forms. Okay, now if you click the submit button, form data will be sent on a page action. If I again click on run here, and you can see I have a submit, I have an input which has a type of submit. So wherever you will see this particular type of submit input or anything, then that will submit your form at the backend or to the URL that you basically signify here. Okay, so that's the use of form. You can create multiple forms in HTML. Okay, and you can go through it. Now the form element is done. uh, the input element, text fields, this is also done. Now we have different types of inputs in HTML. First one, the text input we have studied right now. And we write it by using the type attribute here. So if I write here type text and I click on run, then you can see this is a text input. If I change it to let's say checkbox, okay, there are a lot of inputs. So if I change it to checkbox, then I'll be able to check this. So this is another type of input. If I write here password, okay, and I click on run, so you can see now it's coming like a password input. So let's go back. I can also select range type of input, right? Then this will be a range input. I can also write here file. So in that case, I'll be redirected to choose a file. So in this way, like I can create many different types of inputs by using the type attribute of file and giving the value for that, right? Then yeah, this is particular is the radio. We can also take input type of color also here. See, we can also take a color type of input here. We can also take what all different types are there. We can also take date as an input. So here this will be date. We can also take time as an input. This will take the time as our input. So that's how you can like define different types of inputs in HTML. Okay, let's just go back. See, we have the input type of text, we have the input type of radio, we have the input type of checkbox, we have the input type of submit, the input type of button, and we can add the text fields like with the labels here. So this is how you can create a form. Checkboxes, I've already told you about that. Submit button, wherever you will add the type of submit, that will submit your form. Okay, so it defines a button for submitting the form data to the form handler. Form handler is a file on the server with a script of processing what we are getting as the input data. And then we have the action attribute. Then we have name attribute for the input. Okay, uh, like what will be the name of your input, and you can also give ID to it, value to it, like what will value of your input you can automatically give it, or you can change it if you want. Then we have the different form attributes. The first is the action attribute, like where your form will be submitted. Action defines that. Target attribute is where to display the response. Okay, where the response will be displayed after submitting the form. And It can be blank if you want to open in a new window. It can be parent if you want to open in the parent frame only, and similar to the link, like wherever your link will open. Okay, so you can give target blank, then your form will, when on clicking submit, your form will open in a new tab. Like after submitting, your response will be opened in a new tab. Okay, so you can do this method we'll study when we'll be studying about the backend part. You'll not be able to understand it right now, but for now just understand that if you are passing a request, like if you are sending a request, then you use the method of get. Like you are going to request something from the browser. Okay, you can use method post also, and a lot of them. Autocomplete, if you make the autocomplete on, then the browser will automatically complete the values based on user has entered before. Like if I add here something, so this will be auto completed, right? So you can also use this. And no validate will be like a boolean value, that suppose you have an email. Okay, so your input will not be validated on submit, right? So this was not email, but you were able to send it. So no validate will attribute will do what? No validate attribute will not validate your inputs whatever you are adding. If you are not adding this, then you will not be able to send anything in the email input. Okay, so this is all the list of all form attributes. You can play around with them, and you can like try practicing creating forms, and you'll be good to go. Okay, is there any doubt? That's all, like the most important things that are there in HTML. And uh, what you guys can do is, you can, by using the HTML, all of the tasks that we have studied right now, you can try creating a portfolio website for you, for like uh, for yourself, and try building that from scratch. It will contain your name, your qualifications in a table, and the education and everything that you have done, uh, and like different internships and your work experience you can add in that particular website, and you can show it by using the HTML. So that will be a good practice for you all to do. And now there is some time still left. So what we are going to do is, we are going to after this study about the CSS part in a little bit more detail. Okay, so I let's start in a minute or so. Okay, so let's continue with the CSS part. So if we go here to our code file, okay, let me open the side panel. So here we have the index.html file. I'll just remove everything from here, and what I'll do is I will create a new file from scratch. Okay, give me a minute. If you guys want, you can also create like code along with me for practicing and like see the changes. Okay, so let's start. I'll start with writing doc type HTML here, and here we will write the, sorry, give me a minute. Yeah, this will be doc type HTML. Okay, then the HTML, the head section, and then here we will have the body section. Okay, I will add here some of the content like welcome to the website and everything, and I will save this. I will click on copy path, and I will paste this in the browser. So this is what I have created by using my index.html file. Now I will create a new file and I will call this styles.css. So for adding any of the CSS file, what you do, you add .css notation to it, and then your browser will be able to understand that okay, this is a CSS file. Now inside the head section, generally we use the uh, link okay tag, and inside this we add related to, our link is related to style sheet, and the href is styles.css. So it's styles.css, so I'll do that. So since it's present in the same folder as my index.html, so I can simply write it here. If it had been inside your, let's suppose, any other folder, for example subfolder, I can give a name like this, and I move this inside my subfolder. So in that case I had to use here slash subfolder and styles.css. Okay, so that's how I had to give the href to it. So for now, let's move it back outside, and let's delete this subfolder. Okay, now let's make it similar to how it was before. Okay, styles.css. Now let's go to the styles.css file, and if I write here h1, I open the parenthesis and I write here color to be blue. Okay, I save this, go back and click on refresh, so you can see I am able to change the color of my heading to blue. Similarly to this, I can target my paragraph and I can change the color of it to red. So that's how I can start writing CSS by creating a new file and then using the styling attributes accordingly. So this is how you target the element and you target the uh, paragraph. Okay, now yeah, so yeah, let's suppose you want to add here a button. Okay, so I can say this is a button, click me button. If I go back, click on refresh, so you can see I have a button here, and what I want is I want this button to be larger in size and of different color. So what I can do, I can go to my styles.css and I can target button here, and I can give background color of green to this button and color of white. So if I click on refresh, you can see the color has changed now. And now what I can do is I can increase the width of my button to, let's say, 200 pixels, and the height to 50 pixels. And if I click on refresh, so you can see now I can change the size of the button also. So there are a lot of attributes that we can do, and we can change like different styles of our HTML document. If I simply target the whole body of the HTML document and I give it a background color of black, go back, click on refresh, then you can see I can change the background color also. In the body only, I can say change color of everything to white. So in that case, everything, let me just remove all the styles here, save this, click on refresh, so you can see now everything has changed to black. So you can target all of these things and do that. So now let's study about different attributes that we have in CSS. Okay, so what exactly is CSS? CSS is the language that we use to style our HTML document. Okay, it describes how HTML elements should be displayed. Like, it's very important to that your website aesthetics look good, and like you are able to like create more appealing, visually appealing websites, right? So now CSS tutorial has 100 of CSS examples. So we have done this. Okay, like we have changed the background color to light blue, we have added the h1, we can also add the text align property for creating the for adding my heading to the center. We can also add font family and font size to the text also. Then yeah, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it describes us how HTML should be displayed, and it saves a lot of work because it can be used across multiple web pages at the same time. Okay, so suppose I have this particular HTML page and this index.html page, and I create a new page. Let's say uh, index1.html. Okay, and I add here the code, a new code, new HTML code, body, my website too. Okay, and here if I add here link, okay, and I attach this here, then on this particular web page also, if I copy path, paste this here, all of the styles will be applied. So I don't have to write the CSS again and again. I can use them on multiple websites if I want. Okay, so see, this is a one HTML page which is displaying four different style sheets. Okay, so if I click on style sheet 1, so this particular style is being displayed. If I click on style sheet 2, so it's completely different, right? If I click on style sheet 3, it's completely different. So you can use multiple like you can create your website something similar to this also by using CSS. And if you choose no style sheet, then your HTML document is was by default looking something similar to this. If I add a style sheet 1, then it will be looking something similar to this. So why we should use CSS? So CSS is used to define styles for web pages. We can also define layout, like how exactly the structure of your HTML document should look like across various different devices and different screen sizes. So suppose you are using this particular website on your laptop, and you want it to look similarly visually appealing on your mobile also. So in that case, you should use cascading style sheet, because without that there will be a very big problem to like create styles and then you use them very often. So it will not create much issue when you are using smaller code files, but if you go to bigger code bases, like you have multiple web pages, then your code will become very complex if you are not using CSS. So HTML, at the starting when HTML came, there were no tag for styling your text. Okay, so CSS saved a very big problem, and it was used for creating the styles. So CSS removed the style formatting from the HTML page, and it made it bring to the new page, like what we are doing right now here. We are creating a new page and we are adding styles here. So CSS saved a very big problem of making code very cumbersome, and like we can add a lot of styles on a single page, and our code will not be very large or very longer in size. So syntax of CSS is similar, like we write property and we write value and we add semicolon, then we add another property and value and we add semicolon. So here for example, if I want to add two properties, so I can use color, the value of the color, and then add semicolon. Then I can add another property, colon, and the value of that property and the semicolon. So that's how I can add more than one property in a single selector. Okay, single selector of HTML. P is known as the selector. Okay, the anything that you are writing right now is the selector in CSS. It points to the HTML element that we want to style right now. Okay, so which part is the selector? So P part is the selector here. Then we'll move to the next part. So there are different types of selectors that we have in CSS. Okay, first one is the normal selector that we are using right now, element selector. Okay, this is known as the element selector. We have more than these selectors, like we can use ID selector. So for example, if I have here let's say this particular code file, let me show it to you one. This is my index.html file. This is a paragraph and a button. Okay, I will add here h1 class selector. Okay, and what is this class selector? If I write here class as title, okay, I can give any name of my choice. This thing you have to remember, the class. And if I go to styles.css and I target my title and change the color to red. Okay, let's go back, copy path and paste it in the browser. So you can see I have added a class selector here. So for targeting any class selector, we use dot. And for element selector, we don't use anything. But for writing the class selector, we use title and like we use dot and we add the styles similarly to how we were doing it previously. Okay. And we have another type of selector, which is ID selector. Okay. And if we go here, I we target ID with a hash. Okay, so these are two very important things, that we target class with a dot and paragraph with a hash. Let me refresh this so you can see we have the ID selector. Okay, so these are the different types of selectors. This is the ID selector. ID name cannot start with a number. This is a very important thing. You cannot start an ID with a number. Then we have the class selector, and we can add this similar class in more than one HTML document. For example, I have here heading with the class title. So I can also add the same styles to paragraph also. I can write here class and I can give the same class to it. Okay, if I go back to my web page and I click on refresh, so you can see it's similar to previous one. Okay, so I can add multiple classes to different elements also if I want. Okay, now next we have yeah, so this we have studied class. We can add more than one classes here. See, center and large, there are two classes that is being applied here. And class also cannot start with a number. We have universal selector in CSS also. Suppose I want to select everything that is present on the HTML document. Let me remove this, and let's suppose I select this and I change the background color to black and color to white. Okay, and I save everything, go back to my website and click on refresh. So you can see everything I have targeted here, and I've changed its color to white and I've changed the background color to black. So you can use this particular universal selector if you want to change everything on the, if you want to target all the styles on the document. So grouping selector is if you are like adding same styles to, let's suppose, more than one element selector, so you can group them by adding a comma. Like here you are using h1, h2 and p, and the styles below them are same. So what you can do is you can add comma here and add those styles, so this will make your code more readable and reusable. Okay, so we use selectors like this. These are all some simple selector examples. This is the ID selector, class selector, element selector, and the group element selector. They are some simple selectors that we have. Is there any doubt you can ask? Otherwise, we'll continue further. Is there any doubt? Okay. So now, three ways to insert CSS. So we have studied about the first type, like we can create an external style sheet and we can connect this with our HTML document and we can use this. Okay. And we can also use internal CSS, which means we can add the style tag here and can use CSS. This is the second type how we can use CSS in our code. The third one is the inline CSS, like uh, we can add it inside the HTML code only, like HTML document only. So inline style does not have lot of advantages, it has lot of disadvantages. Okay, so it mixing content with the presentation, or it's like very we don't use it that often, this inline CSS part. The most used method is the creating a new file and then using it. Okay, so we should always use this particular technique, creating a new file and using it accordingly. Now we can create multiple style sheets also, as I told you earlier. And yeah, so this is important. Cascading order, what is the cascading order? Like if you have all of the styles displayed on your code, let me show it to you. Let me delete this file. Let me delete this. Okay, and now I have two file, index.html and styles.css. So for simplicity, let me remove all the code that we have here, and I will add here h1. Okay, and I save and I refresh this. So right now I have this. I'll remove the style from styles.css, refresh this. So okay, that's fine. Now what I'm going to do is I will add style here as color of red. Okay, I will refresh this. So you can see I have added inline style. This is what this is. Let me add comment, inline style in CSS, right? This is the inline style in CSS. Now similar to this, I will add inside the head part also style tag, and the color will be blue. So this will be the internal style in CSS, the second method of adding the style to CSS. I will save this, and here also I will target the h1 and I will add third color. So what I have done is I have added red color in the inline style, I have added blue color in the internal style, and here let's say I will add here orange color on the third. So I have added all the styles here. Let's see what will be applied. Okay, so if I refresh this, you can see red is taking the most preference order. So this means if you write here inline, so inline CSS will have the most priority order. Then if you remove this, if you don't have the inline CSS, then your internal CSS will have the most prior, like your new file CSS will have the most priority order, and then comes your internal styling order. So this order is very important to remember. Okay, you have inline style, external and internal style sheet, and then the browser default. So this is the cascading order that we follow in the CSS. We can also add comments here. The comments in CSS look something like this. Okay, then we have uh we can add multiple line comments also, and this whole part we have done. CSS also contain colors similar to HTML and we can use them, right? Similar to how we were doing this in HTML. we can also add background, we can add background image, we can repeat the background. Let me just show it to you once. So if I go to styles.css and I'm going to target the body here, and I will say background colors, so we have defined, let's take background image, and let's go to some image URLs. Okay, and let's go to some image. For example, let's take this particular image, copy link address. Okay, copy image address, and then I will write here URL. Okay, and I will paste the URL here. Okay, then I will save this. Let's go back and click on refresh. Nothing is happening because this URL is not right. Unsplash. Let's check it now. Okay, this URL is not correct, I guess. See, now this is a URL of an image. If I copy this, give me a minute. Yeah, if I copy this and I paste it here, so this is the image that I'm going to add as a background. Okay, so I have done what? I have added that image here, and let me just remove all of this. Okay, let me just remove this. I go back and click on refresh. See, this is the background image that I have displayed here, but what I want is I want its size to change. So what I can do is I can say background size as contain. So what this will do, this will make my image size as small as possible. Okay, now it's repeating, so I will say background repeat as no repeat, then this will become only one. Okay, and if I change it to cover, then this will cover the entire page, right? And I can say background attachment, background position will be center, so in that case your background will come to the center of the image. Okay, and what I can do here is I can write here background attachment as fixed. If I click on refresh, so you can see now it's fixed. So you can add image similar to this also. Then we have background position, background we can use this. Then we have borders in CSS. So let's suppose you want to add borders on, like you want to add these kind of borders on your text, this underline border bottom, rounded border, or blue left border. Okay, suppose you want something like this, so you can also target that by using the border properties. So let's just go back and let's make it okay, let's remove the style. Okay, and target the style here only. I will change it to white, and I will say text align to center, and font size can be, font family I can take Courier, font size I can take 50 pixels, I can make font bold, can create some text shadow, and this is the text transform, I can change it to uppercase, I can add some letter spacing and word spacing of 10 pixel. Let's just go back and see what we see. So you can see now it's looking a lot more better, right? Now what I can do, I want to add some border on this. Okay, so here I can add border of 2 pixels, and this will be my solid border, and this will be white. If I save this, go back, click on refresh, so you can see now I'm getting border. I can change the thickness of the border also. I can make it 20 pixels, so this will be thicker border, right? I can make it 10 pixel, so this will be a little bit thinner. And I can change it to dotted if I want this not to be solid but a dotted border. I can also make it dashed. Okay, so this is the dashed border. So that's how you can add different borders also if you want. I can change the radius of the border also by using border radius, and this will make the corners rounded, right? Let me change it back to, let's make it 50 pixels, for example. And you can see very clearly now this has, the corners had become rounded. So you can use border radius also here. Then uh, we can add here, let's suppose I don't want border on all the sides but I want it only on the bottom. So what I can do is I can add here border bottom. Okay, and then click on refresh. So this will only come on the bottom of the border. You can, similar to this, you can change it to left, so this will only come to the left side. You can also change it to be at the top, so this will come at the top side. Okay, so this is how you can play around with the border property that is in CSS. Then yeah, you have specified about the border width. You can specify the border width, you can specify the border style. Okay, there are these different types of border widths. And then you can have border shorthand properties that we were using right now, and rounded borders, the border radius here, right? So I think that's all for today's session. And the part that is left is the display properties, padding properties, and the CSS box model that we have right now. So that part we can cover in tomorrow's class. And we can, and what we can do is we can continue with the JavaScript part for tomorrow. And then after this session we'll study about the API integration part with the front end and the back end. Okay, so if you guys have any doubts, feel free to ask. I'm open for any doubts, and otherwise we can end the session. Okay, if you guys don't have any doubts, I think we can end the session. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. So, thank you guys for your time. Have a good day.